Hi, this is Mark from Enchantment of Eternity having a special discussion video with my brother Atkin Tamko, who also does Game of Thrones Season 6 predictions videos. So we're just going to talk about our predictions for Game of Thrones Season 6 and sort of where we stand, sort of make sort of comparisons and stuff like that. So in this video, I want to cover the topics of the north of the Wall, the Riverlands, the Iron Islands, and Oldtown. So, Afkin Tomka, you want to just say hello?
Hello. So this is the first time that anyone has seen me, and I'm hoping that maybe this will dispel this myth that somehow Mark and I sound alike, which no one has ever said that before until we started making videos where all you hear is our voice. So maybe when you actually see us, we can get rid of this silly rumor that is not true. We don't really sound anything alike, and no one's ever said that before until we started doing videos.
Yeah, well, and also the myth that we're the same person.
Right. Oh no, we did those discussion videos before and one time one guy commented, "This is just one guy talking to himself," which was kind of silly, kind of ridiculous.
Totally not the case. And this was our first time trying out a live discussion. Usually we pre-record stuff, so let's do it this way, see how it goes, and you guys can sort of speak up in the chat if you have any questions or anything you want to put in, so I'll be keeping an eye out on that. Cool, so let's just get started. And the first topic I want to cover is the North. Now, I think I want to jump straight into Ramsay and Brienne because I'm watching this now. I'm assuming you know a little bit about what's going down in season 6, our predictions and stuff. And the big question, the first thing I want to talk about is the teaser trailer, the Vanish, because neither one of us had a chance to sort of talk about those yet. Have you seen those, African Toka?
You know what? I'm going to be honest here. I watched the first one, and I haven't watched any other ones because the ones from last year kind of sucked. And so I honestly, to be truthful, I haven't watched them. So okay, you're going to have to tell me about them.
Oh, no, fair enough. I'd actually recommend checking them out because they're actually better than the ones last year. The ones last year were crap, I agree. But, I mean, they're still not that great. It's just 10-second teaser. But the one I'll talk about now, because there's three, one for House Stark, Lannister, and Targaryens, but we'll cover Lannisters and Targaryens in another video, so I'll just talk about the one they did for Stark, which is basically the Stark banner blowing in the wind. It's all tattered and stuff, and you hear Ramsay's voiceover, and he just says, "Winterfell is mine, come and see." And that's it. That's all it is. But that's got a lot of people theorizing. It's like, what does Ramsay mean, Winterfell is mine? Who is Winterfell? So people are like working overboard. Does this mean Ramsay kills Roose? And, you know, I think he does kill Roose, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think he would say Winterfell's mine regardless of, you know, he could say that even if Roose was still the Lord, he might mean mine as in ours too. Just
right.
Mine.
I think that does really point to that very strongly that Roose is gone, probably at the hands of Ramsay, and that which you did say in your prediction videos, and I think it doesn't prove it, but I think it definitely supports that theory a lot. I think it's very, very possible.
So I can't remember, did you say in your theory videos that you thought that Ramsay would kill Roose?
I didn't, but I said that all three of them, or not all three, that Roose and Walda would go. I did say that, and actually I did say all three of them. I said Ramsay would as well, but I didn't specify how they would go. So when you said that in your video, I think I wrote you in an email, said, "Oh, well, that could be true. That could actually go along with what I said," because I was more vague. I just said they're all going to die, but I didn't say how. So I didn't specifically say that in my videos, but I definitely like that theory a lot. I think it's very, very plausible.
Yeah, that was one of my more controversial predictions. A lot of people sort of spoke up and disagreed, and a lot of people spoke up and agreed. So there was a lot of sort of split on that. Um, but you're not. You're totally against the theory that I put in my "Who's Gonna Die" video, that it will be Roos's and Walda's bodies burned on crosses. That we've heard a rumor that Ramsay hangs out some burnt bodies on crosses during the battle to deter the Stark army. And I'll admit that I even said this in my video, that theory is total wishful thinking. That is like what I want to see rather than what's likely to happen. But your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I have mentioned this before. I definitely disagree with that. I think it's going to be clearly, to me, it's going to be Rickon and Osha that are going to be up there. I think that, to me, makes it a lot more strong. Okay, this is Rickon hanging up here, like that just deflates all hope in the Stark army. Like, this is your heir, and look what I've done to him. I think that's. To me, would be infinitely stronger than putting Roose up there. To put Roose up there, oh yeah, all right, Roose is gone. Okay, I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't be quite like that, but it wouldn't be as deflating and just demoralizing.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point. I mean, I think he would do it as a way to see, like, I'm the big man in charge, not Roose, me.
Right. Right.
But that's not necessarily demoralizing to the Stark troops.
Right. It would make sense. Yeah, in that regard, that would make sense. That it's his way of saying, I'm the head cheese now. But I think it would be stronger if it was Rickon. So that's why I'm going in that direction.
And again, it's wishful thinking because I really don't want it to be Rickon. So I'm like predicting it's anyone other than Rickon. Like I even said, oh, it's Davos or Osha, and some people are calling me out on that. It's probably far back. I'll say anyone other than Rickon.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention in the chat, we had Johnny Harrison and Casey. I'll just say Casey. You don't want to butcher your last name. Who also agreed that, well, no, it wasn't Casey, it was John, but they agreed that we do sound alike, which I still don't see that. And
no one's ever said that before we just started.
In person, maybe it's something about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I live in New Zealand, and I know a lot of everyone has Kiwi accents because they're in New Zealand, and people who watch my videos, friends of mine, say, wow, you sound really American in your videos. Like, you don't sound American in person, but in your videos you sound really American. That's a bit weird. Anyway, so Johnny Harrison said, I'd rather they just make little teasers of actual trailers that they're going to release than all the rubbing the show. It's more annoying than anything else. Oh, the rubbish of the show, yeah. You can kind of see that.
Yeah.
There was just a question here from Fur Khan. What do you guys think about Kit Harington reiterating that Jon Snow is actually dead, and so apparently he's not coming back?
Yeah, I figured we would talk about this at some point. I think it is absolutely laughably ridiculous. I'm just like, really? There's a picture of you wearing the Stark uniform. I mean, and I can't remember which media outlet it was. I read it online on some. It wasn't Entertainment Weekly. It was something else where they were just presenting it as, well, I guess this proves that Jon Snow is, really dead. And I'm like, did you not see the picture of? I mean, it is so been proven so long ago that he's coming back that it just makes me laugh when he's still. But I guess there is a segment of of the fandom that are more casual, that don't look up pictures online and watch videos like that me and you do, or make videos like me and you do, that you could still probably fool. So I guess there is probably a segment of the fandom who are more casuals.
Yeah,
that's true. They're like, oh, he's really dead. So I guess that's what that is for. But I mean, for the like super geeks like us who like follow every little thing that comes online, I mean, it's laughably ridiculous that he would say that.
But I think to do it now is kind of dickish. But it's not just the picture online. It's also, I don't know if you saw the teaser poster they officially released. It's a picture of Jon Snow with like the bloody, like blood trickling down his nose. I'm just like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, so they're dropping all pretenses that he's dead now. Good. But then Kit Harington comes out. I'm like, come on.
He's like, I haven't filmed Game of Thrones in a while. Well, what's a while? Like last month? I mean, it was kind of ridiculous.
He's just gonna look like a bit of a dickhead once it is confirmed that he's on the show. But yeah. That's all good. Yeah, because that's something like I didn't even think we would talk about in the discussion video. We don't really need to get into whether or not Jon Snow coming back to life because we just assume that we know that's the case now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to move on and ask you about Sansa. Because I know your original predictions for Sansa was her going to the Vale, and I was just watching your update video where you're saying, okay, I hear that she's going to be in Winterfell at the end of the season, but I still think she might go to the Vale. Is that still your thinking on it?
No, well, that's not exactly what I said. What I said, what I said was that this pretty much kills my theory that she's going to go to the Vale, but not 100%. It's still possible she could sneak down there and come back up, but it's extremely unlikely. So I would say my theory now that she would go to the Vale is extremely, extremely unlikely, but not totally disproven. Like there's a 1% chance that it could still happen, but just probably not very likely. It's more than likely she's going to be in the North for the whole season.
All right. Well,
I said that. Wait. Well, I'm sorry. I said that the main thing that I said that I was sticking with from my update, from my original predictions, is that Littlefinger and her are still going to have a battle of wits. That they're still going to be together a lot and have a similar kind of story arc to what they have in the books, regardless of what location they're in. So that's the main thing I'm sticking with from my original prediction, but not necessarily that she'll be in the Vale.
Yeah, and the filming sort of rumors would sort of go along with that prediction as well, because we know now that Littlefinger is going to be seen in the scene with Sansa, Ramsay, and Jon Snow in Winterfell, apparently.
Yes, so, which that news came out like the day that I published my update video, so I wasn't able to include it.
All right, yeah, but this is so. Just get back to Jon Snow. There's some talk in the chat. So Furcon says there's a theory that Jon is actually gone, but his body will now be controlled by Bran via warging. What are your theories on how he will come back? Specifics about them. Well, I mean, we got into specifics in our prediction videos, but did you want to just quickly reiterate that?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to open up that can of worms, because my theory about how he was going to come back was extremely, I don't want to say controversial because that's silly, but it was, a lot of people disagreed with it. So
I think you very clearly cleared that up in your update video, though. You very clearly spoke.
You would think, but yeah. And then there are a lot of people who still will comment on my original video, not having seen the update video, and there are two possible responses. I either just delete it, or I will just respond simply with a link to my update, which explains it. But when people, anyone who says that, well, first of all, I guess I might as well talk about what it was that I said. I said that he would be, that they would do the Night's Watch ritual where they would burn his body, but then his body would go unburned. And then after that is when Melisandre would bring him back. But the way that I presented it in my original video, I made it sound like, well, because Targaryens can't be burned, which is not what I meant. So it was just comment after comment after comment about that. And millions of people pointing out that Jon Snow's hand caught on fire in season 1. So that, and which they still do on that original video. And anytime anyone comments that Jon Snow's hands was burnt, I automatically delete it. I even wrote a comment saying any comment that says Jon Snow's hand was burnt, I am deleting. I'm so done with arguing about that. Yeah, I'm kind of over it. But yeah, I did explain it more clearly in my update video. Some people still argue the point, which is fine. But
you still think that it's going to go down though? That his body.
Well, you know, that's my best guess. Yes, I mean these are just guesses, but that I still feel like there's a strong possibility that that can happen. So yes.
Yeah, my prediction was the glamoring that Melisandre would burn someone else and use like glamoring magic to make everyone think it's Jon Snow. And that prediction might not have been as controversial, but I still got a lot of disagreement on that. And again, I do think it's kind of a long shot. I'm more curious to see how they're going to bring it back. I know that they will.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be involved somehow.
I'm sorry, you broke up for a second. Who will be involved?
Oh, Melisandre will be involved.
Oh, yes. Melisandre is directly involved as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that to me is a no-brainer. People are still clinging to the Morgan the Ghost idea, and I think that is happening in the books. I just don't see that in the television show because they haven't set up for that at all, and anything that was a hint foreshadowing that was in the book was left out of the show. So I just don't see that happening in the show. I think it's definitely happening in the books, however. In the show, I think it's just going to be more directly Melisandre just going to bring him back. And I think I may have said this in one of my videos, but I am pretty sure it'll have something to do with what she learned from Thoros of Myr, or at least the idea that people could be brought back from Thoros of Myr, and that when he's brought back, whatever episode that is, in the previously on, they're going to show Melisandre and Thoros of Myr from season 3.
Yeah, I totally agree. So you're not, yeah. So the heads of the theory that Furkan brought up about Bran controlling Jon Snow's body. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that theory. I think we're actually going to get a Jon Snow. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. No, that's not happening at all. Yeah. It's going to be actually Jon Snow. It's going to be back.
Yeah, and it goes into Thomas Voigt's question: is how changed do you believe Jon Snow will become? Because George R. Martin mentioned that after you die and get resurrected, it's changed. And for me, I think the answer would be more like a Beric Dondarrion, sort of like he just feels a little more haunted, rather than a Lady Stoneheart situation where it's a completely different person.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about this before. I think that it's going to be something it's going to be a pretty profound change, but it will be kind of subtle. In season 6, you'll see hints of it, but you won't see what the full change is until later seasons. I think by the time the show is over, it'll be very clear how that change is manifested. In season 6 is going to be more subtle. It's just going to be like little things here and there that are going to be off. If he has encounters with Dolorous Ed, Dolorous Ed might notice like something's a little off, and then might just brush it aside. Oh, whatever. So I think it's going to be not really fully clear in this season, but eventually it will be clear like what that change is exactly and how changed he really is. That was my theory.
Oh, yeah. No, I think, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's going to be something like that. I just want to point out what Nick Hadida, I think is how you say it, probably pronounced that wrong, sort of asked, but how do we know he even learned anything from Thoros? All he said he did was say the Lord's Prayer. He said, he didn't really show her how to do it.
Well, yeah, and as I said, I think it's more the idea that it can be done that she got from Thoros. Not that he sat down and gave her a lesson on how to resurrect people, but I think that she will remember that the Red God can bring back people, and that will be what prompts her to try and bring him back. Not that she'll know how to do it because of anything Thoros told her.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move back to Sansa again because we moved out to cover Jon Snow a bit more. Do you do you think that see, my prediction was she would spend the North in whatchamacallit, the last Hearth. There's a rumor out there that the Umbers are going to side with the Boltons, in which case we would throw that thing in chaos. But
Yeah,
do you have any specific theories on where Sansa might be hanging about before the battle? Because we know that she's going to be in Winterfell at the battle, but do you have any
right.
sort of thoughts on where she will be before then?
Right. Well, as I said, there's still a tiny chance she goes down to the Vale because we know those characters are going to be there. Robin Aaron, and I just didn't think Littlefinger was necessarily strong enough of a character to be there by himself. But failing that, I think that she is probably going to be something similar to what you were saying in your videos, that she's going to be trying to rally the northern troops. So she could be in the last Hearth. Now, I don't know if I buy that the Umbers are on the side of the Boltons, but if they are, I think they're still going to be. I think it's going to be revealed like later in the season. Like I think they're going to be, pretending to be on the side of the Stark, so she could still go to the last Hearth, regardless of whether the Umbers are on the side of the Boltons. So I think that that's definitely a possibility. So I just don't really have any real specific ideas. She's going to be hanging out up north somewhere and probably trying to rally the troops. But I other than that, and then also having some interaction with Littlefinger. I think Littlefinger is going to make it up there. And I think that's going to be really interesting because I think Littlefinger is still going to be trying to use her for his purposes. And thinking that he still can manipulate her and use her, and she's going to starting to figure out how not to be manipulated by him. So I think that's going to be happening. But as for where specifically she's going to be before Winterfell, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Of like, Last Hearth is my best guess. I mean, if the Umbers sign with the Boltons, I have no clue. I mean, there's some speculation that she'll go to Castle Black, but I'm not sure I quite buy that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. But as I said, she could still go to the last Hearth, even if the Umbers do go on the Bolton side, because they could still be pretending to be on her side.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I kind of lean away from the Umbers signing with the Boltons thing as well, but who knows? I could be totally wrong. I mean, there was this thing which I haven't mentioned in my videos yet. You mentioned in your update video how there's news that came out after we made our videos about how there's a scene being filmed with two Northern Lords who like side with the Starks. And I think it was someone who's very clearly Wyman Manderley, like says in a speech or something. That's what it probably.
Yeah.
So. So it's possible those are the ones that are their main allies, not so much.
Yeah, and the other one was rumored to be, or I guess it came from Watchers on the Wall. Their best guess was that the other Lord was, what's the name of the house? It was a House Serwyn, maybe the house, whatever house was that Ramsay in season 5, where he went and flayed people because they wouldn't pay their taxes or whatever. So there was the guess was that it's like the new lord of that house, who's obviously like not happy that he just went and killed his family. So that would be one of the lords that would be revolting against the Boltons.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty clear guess. Now, before we move on from the north, I just want to really quickly touch on.
Wait, can I say one more thing about Sansa though? Before we move on to the next thing, is that did you see the thing where Sophie Turner said that this was Sansa's best season, strongest season yet?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah. She just at some awards, SAG awards or whatever, she had mentioned that she thought that this is Sansa's strongest season yet. You're going to really see her. This is what we've been waiting to see from her. She's really going to be coming on into her own.
Right. Well, That makes it sound good for my predictions that she would be like really sort of badass and sort of manipulative.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And to me, it makes it sound it's good for my prediction that Littlefinger's going to be trying to manipulate her, but she's going to be like figuring out how to not be manipulated and to turn the tables on him and get the better of him too. So, although my first thought of that was, well, Gwendolyn Christie said last year this is going to be Brienne's best season, and it was her worst. So hopefully that's not the case this time.
I'm a bit worried. And then a lot of people like the guy who played Loras saying that the season 5 finale would be the best thing ever, and I was like, it was all right, but it wasn't. I prefer the season 4 finale, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that, so I've been really, like, in general, of all the hyping of season 6, I've just been a bit sort of skeptical after the hyping of season 5.
Yeah, me too. But I'm hoping that this is true what she says, that this actually will be her best season, and she'll start to really come in on her own and really start taking control of things. So I'm hopeful that is accurate this time.
Yeah, no, me too. All right, cool. So, yeah, before we move from the north, I want to talk very quickly about the Night's Watch, because there's some theories. I think pretty much you and I were both on the same page that sort of Alice's Thorn is going to become the new Lord Commander. Is that correct?
Yes, and in fact, I would go so far as to say I thought it was a little silly that anybody was debating that it would be anybody other than Alice Thorn. But I think, yes.
Yeah, have you heard the theories that it's going to be Dolorous Ed, so that the Night's Watch is actually going to turn from the sort of mutineers and hold them against it, and they're going to elect someone who's more friendly to John?
I think that, I think that wouldn't make any sense. That would just be like, to use an analogy, it would be like, well, we don't like George Bush as president. We're voting him out. Or so we're just going to elect somebody who believes the exact same thing as he did. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's obviously the Night's Watch has turned away from Jon Snow, so why would they elect somebody on his side? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think that as well, and I also think that they're going to sort of be a pain in the ass to the wildlings. Now, I had a couple people on video saying that they wouldn't try to attack the wildlings because they're so outnumbered. But I think that's why I said in my video that they wouldn't directly attack them. They would just be like, do little niches and sort of try to, try to rile them up, whatever.
Yeah.
So you think that sounds about right too?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely possible. Again, my predictions with the wildlings was very vague. And yours was more specific, but yours could easily go along with mine.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Mine was basically that the wildlings are going to end up siding with Jon Snow. But you went into a lot more detail. But I like your details. I think they're very plausible.
Oh, yeah. Cool. So I just want to say, is it Bitotic Flux? I think that's how you say it. Anyway, in the chat, he says, do you think Season 6 will have an episode that tops Hardhome? And that's a very good question. What are your thoughts on that?
I hope so, because Hardhome was incredible. So to have one better, I'd be happy. So, yeah, I hope so. I mean, I don't know if they will, but I hope so.
Is it your official stance that Hardhome is the best episode of Game of Thrones ever?
No, I'm not willing to make those kinds of statements unless I go back and watch every episode and really think about it, which I haven't done. So, I can't make that. All I can say is one of the best episodes ever of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so one more thing I want to bring up before we move out from the north is because I saw, like, Phil the Issues guy, I don't know if you watch his channel, but I watched his channel, and he did this video about this list of episode titles, and he said it comes from a reliable source, but I haven't been able to confirm it through, like, it hasn't been a Watchers in the Wall or anything like that, so I'm still a bit skeptical about this episode title list. But on that list, episode 9 was called The Trueborn Son of Winterfell, which would seem to suggest that Jon Snow is going to take up and become the Lord of the North, or be the Stark or whatever. And there's a lot of people, like I had a lot of people comment going through that said that they thought that Jon Snow would become like the new Lord Stark or whatever, become naturalized. What do you think?
I couldn't totally rule it out, but that's not my thinking. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, if it happens, I won't be surprised. I'll be, oh, okay. But if you want me to make a prediction, I would say no. I don't think that's happening. Also, that title you mentioned, I'm skeptical immediately because that does not sound like a Game of Thrones episode title to me. It sounds too specific. Usually they could have several, like Kill the Boy, you could look at it as several different meanings to it. Most titles are like that. To be that really specific and only be referring to one thing, like Winterfell specifically. I mean, the Trueborn Son, if it was that, then that could be referring to like 3 different characters, and that would be more on the lines of a Game of Thrones title. So that they were that specific as Winterfell, I mean, not that I couldn't be wrong, and maybe that really is the title. It just makes me skeptical because it sounds too specific for a Game of Thrones episode title.
Yeah, no,
so,
I think you make a really good point, but there is an episode in season 2 called The Prince of Winterfell.
Yeah, well, that was back in season 2. That was a long time ago. But they don't do that often. So, I mean, it's possible. I could be wrong. But I'm just saying it makes me skeptical.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to Bran and the sort of north of the wall. Because my sort of predictions for him was that he was going to just stay under the tree the whole time, basically. But they released promo pictures of him riding a horse, which goes sort of more along with your predictions that he's actually going to be out and about. So, and I do think that's going to be more interesting if he spent the whole season under the tree.
Well, that's why I thought it would be interesting if he's out and about. I mean, like just under that tree the whole. But I did actually though like your theory that he could go out on a mission somewhere by way of warging, which I think is possible. So I think either he actually physically goes out, or he wargs out. Either way, but I don't think he's just going to be under the tree the whole time. And I also read that we're going to leave off. We're going to start in Bran's story at real time. So while all the other events of season 5 was going on, Bran was learning how to. He was learning from the Three-Eyed Raven. So we're going to be forward in time from where we last saw him. So he will already have learned some things. So in fact, I think it might have been a quote from Dan or Dave that were like, "Well, you didn't see everything Luke could learn from Yoda. We're not going to see everything that Bran learns." So, which tells me that when we do see him now, something's going to happen now. Like other than him just going in and doing all these flashbacks that we all know are going to happen, but I think he's actually going to go and do something.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I even thought he was going to do it through warging, but after seeing this picture, I think he might be out and about a bit and might warg as well on missions. But yeah, I think he'll definitely be doing something. However, I do think the first half of the season, he might just be chilling because getting a lot of flashbacks because we know we're getting a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And I think Dan and Dave even said that Bran compared Bran at the start of season 6 to Luke at the Return of Jedi. Like all of a sudden, Jedi.
Yeah.
So Bran will have all these powers.
Yeah, and that's what I was referring to. I think. Yeah. That we didn't necessarily see him learn everything. The same with Bran, so that implies to me that now that we're seeing him again, we're ready for something to happen other than him just learning how to be a seer, be a green seer.
Yeah, I've heard some rumors that Mirror and Hodor weren't going to be in season 6, but that doesn't sound right to me. Bran's going to be in it.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true. In fact, I thought the guy, what's his Christian Yarn or something? I thought I remember reading somewhere where he was talking about being in season 6, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to say on Bran before we move on?
Uh, no, there's not a lot of yeah, not a
All right.
lot to talk about with Bran. So yeah, we can move on.
Well, actually, real quick, someone brought it up in the chat a lot earlier, and I should bring it up because this is something everyone likes to talk about. Since we're in the north, do you think that the wall is going to come down by the end of season 6? Because that's a very popular theory. In fact, a lot of people think it's going to be the final shot of season 6. The wall.
I think it's too soon. Especially we're talking about 8 seasons now. No, yeah. I think it's way too soon.
I agree. Like, my thinking was that we'd see the White Walkers sort of approach the wall, but they wouldn't really deal with it until next season.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just thinking of another thing is that apparently there's supposed to be, and again, this is like the producers hyping stuff up, so I'm being wary, but they're saying there's supposed to be another epic White Walker sequence in season 6 that's just as badass as Hard Home. Any thoughts on what that could be?
Yeah, that would be really interesting because, Hard Home came out of nowhere. I mean, none of us were expecting it. Nobody that I've talked to works, but we knew there was going to be a battle there. But we thought it was going to be some battle between Jon Snow and the Wildlings or something, and then to have the White Walkers involved was just a surprise. So if they have another surprise in store for us like that, that would be pretty cool. Because okay. I wouldn't be able to predict what that would be, but I think it would be pretty awesome if that turned out to be true.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, my prediction was that Bran would just encounter them, but if it's a massive,
that was mine too. I thought so too, that Bran would encounter them. But
even though this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, I just really feel the need to address what RK said in the chat. Because I've seen this misconception several times, so I just want to clear it up. It says, in an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Natalie Dormer mentioned filming in Spain. We think that Marjorie is going to go to Dorne or Marine this season, which is a common theory. I think there's even a video out there saying, oh, Marjorie's going to Dorne. But the thing is that they didn't film in Croatia this year. They filmed all the King's Landing stuff in Spain.
Yeah.
So when she said she was in Spain, she was talking about King's Landing.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, you can't always judge by the real location by the, Westeros location, because that can change. So, yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So let's move on to the Riverlands, which would be another sort of big sort of clusterfuck going on. So I know you've changed, from your original predictions massively of what's going down the Riverlands. So if you just want to refresh me, what do you think is going to happen with the Blackfish and Jaime and all that, and Brienne? Because now we know that Brienne and Podrick are there.
Oh, we do know that Brienne and Podrick are going to be there?
Yeah, we got a filming leak this is why I saw Watchers on the Wall, that she was seen filming a scene with Jaime and Bran, and that Podrick says hello to Bran.
Oh, I didn't catch that one. So yeah, I have to admit I've been a little out of the loop lately during this lull between the end of filming and when the first trailer comes out. So I'm missing a couple things. So I did not see that. But yeah, that goes along with my theory that she would be there. Yeah, and originally I had said that the Blackfish would be the one on the outside trying to get in, because we know he was on the outside and we knew the phrase held it. But that has been long since confirmed to be incorrect, and it's going to be just like the books where he's going to be on the inside. So we just assume sometime off screen he just took back Riverrun. And I think you mentioned before, when they say the phrase hold it, doesn't mean Walder Frey was physically sitting there holding it. I mean, he probably had some soldiers there.
Yeah.
Blackfish went in and took it back, and so now he's holding it. So we know that that's true. We know it's going to play out similarly to Feast for Crows. So yeah, my theory was that it's going to end up at the end of the season with Brienne, Jaime, and Arya all in a room together or a tent together. It could be outside of Riverrun. But they're all going to be in the same place at the same time at the end. And I predicted that one of them would not walk out. So that was kind of my River Run predictions in a broad nutshell.
Okay. So do you still think that's going to happen, that Arya is going to be involved?
Well, unless there's some other tidbit of information you have that I haven't heard yet that contradict that. Then yes, I do still think that that's going to happen.
Okay, so Minds Against asks a really interesting question, which I know we have different theories on. Is will Brienne have a meeting with the Gravedigger?
Yeah, I'm actually forgetting what I said about that, but I think that I said that she would, and you said that she would not. The Gravedigger would be introduced through somebody else's story, which I forget who you said.
I said Samwell.
Yes. Yeah, you said Samwell. And the reason why she wouldn't, which I think you've brought up, is because, she would recognize him. But I thought it would be, I'm in my head, I'm imagining that she's walking by and there's this guy, big guy with a hood, you can't see his face. She's kind of looking at him. She's trying to get a good look. Who is that? And she, is shuffled along. She doesn't ever actually see him. She doesn't actually see that it's the Hound. So just because she would encounter him doesn't necessarily mean that she would recognize him. Necessarily, if he's wearing a hood, his face is obscured, maybe his face is down, maybe he's far away, something like that. So that was my thought.
Okay. I mean, that's possible. I definitely wouldn't rule that out. I just think, to me, it would be more likely if we see it through a character who has no idea who he is, and the one person I think that might be is Sam. I know a lot of people assume he's going to go by boat to Oldtown because he did in the book, but I think the show likes to play things up with travel, and they usually actually travel by land as much as possible, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, even though that is totally ridiculous that they could. It would take like a couple of years to go by land, I think. I don't even know how long it would take, but the show, as we know, you and I have both talked about many times, the show does not care about how long it really takes to get places.
I don't know if you noticed, but in that video I made, someone actually challenged me about that and tried to claim that travel times in the show do make sense, and I was just nitpicking. And to be honest, that was like the most ridiculous comment I've ever got. I mean, it's quite obvious that they just totally, there's so many examples, but yeah, we won't get into that again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, to sum up, yes, I think he's going to probably go by land on the show, even though that doesn't make any sense.
So your thought was that he might get accosted by the outlaws.
Oh yeah, that was my original thought. But then, like when you did your video, I was like, "Oh, your idea is a lot better than mine." I was just kind of throwing something out because I didn't know what the outlaws were going to do. Then once you had your theory, I was like, "Actually, that makes a lot more sense." Because so I'm actually over the outlaw attacking Sam theory. I'm still in the camp that he's going to try to leave Gilead home and possibly at Hornhill, possibly because he thinks things are too dangerous, but I don't think it's those outlaws. I think your theory about the outlaws in Riverlands I like a lot better now. So I'm actually more on that camp than, because originally I was just grasping for straws. I didn't know what the outlaws were going to do, so I just threw them in there, and now I don't think that that's the case. But the crux of my Sam theory I'm still sticking with.
So yeah, I mean that's still the theory I have about the outlaws, which for everyone watching, if you don't know, is that they're going to terrorize some village in the Riverlands, and that Arya is going to come by and sort of kill them as a mission. And I think that's still kind of it's still a wild shot in the dark. I think I have a lot of chances of getting that wrong. I think it's a 20% chance, if even that. But yeah, it does sound like a good one. But and of course, the theory I have with Arya is that she'd meet the Nymeria and that giant wolf pack at the end, and that's total wishful thinking. But there have been rumors of a scene being filmed with a giant wolf pack. So, I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I have not.
I mean, it's
And I think that would be really cool if that's the case. I didn't specifically predict that, but I think that would be awesome.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't. It's set in the snow, so a lot of people assume it would be the north, but you forget winter's coming, so it could be snowing in the Riverlands.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, anything else on the Riverlands before we move on?
No, we did we were going to talk about Oldtown and Hornhill. We kind of touched on that a little bit. So
Yeah.
But
well, why don't we just go that next then? Because
we already kind of, because the main thing that I was going to say in relation to that was that, that outlaw thing, I kind of don't really believe in that anymore, but I still believe in the crux of my predictions is the main theme of my predictions I'm still holding to. But what else would you like to talk about in relation to Sam?
Yeah, I couldn't remember what you said with Sam's travel, because there's been a lot of different sort of schools of thought, a lot of different arguments. That he's going to go to Oldtown first and then go back to Hornhill, or he's going to go to Hornhill on his way to Oldtown, which means he wouldn't be to Oldtown until towards the end of the season.
And that's what I said. That was what I said. That he would go to Hornhill first.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. Because we have heard that they're going to be filming in Oldtown, but we don't know any specifics. We haven't heard of any characters from the books like Maester Marwyn being cast or anything like that. If I recall, you specifically said he didn't.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Maester Marwyn, that you said that you didn't think he'd be in season 6.
Yeah, I kind of thinking not. I was thinking he could be cut out entirely and replaced by somebody else, or he could come in later. I'm kind of leaning toward he'll be replaced by other characters, but who knows?
Yeah, it's possible. So do you think then that maybe we might just spend 1 or 2 episodes down? That's about it. That we do that much of it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just asking if you think you're only going to spend like 2 episodes in Oldtown, and that would be about it. And do you think that Gilly will be going to Oldtown with Sam?
Well, I think it's possible, but my official prediction was she would not be.
All right.
That Sam's mom would find a safe haven for her.
Okay. So do you still think that's the case?
Well, that's that's my prediction, but I that's not a firm one. I mean, if she went with him, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, because I think that she will go with him, but again, it's like if she didn't, it wouldn't shock me. It's like sort of up in the air. But I guess the main question is do you think they're going to get into this Maester conspiracy thing, which seemed to be the whole point of the Oldtown storyline in the books? And
I think that I would think that they would have to, but not necessarily this season. But
yeah, I think they might touch on it in the finale or the second to last episode.
Yeah. I think that's probably going to have to play a part. Maybe not as big of a part as it will in the books, but I think it's going to exist. But I think maybe that's more of a season 7 thing, and we might get some hints of it at the end of this season. But that's my thought.
Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and cover our last topic. We go on to the last topic, the Iron Islands. Now, again, I think this is a case where your predictions had totally changed from your original video. So do you want to just go give me some of the thoughts you have on what you're thinking now will happen in the Iron Islands? Mainly with what the Ironborn's going to do after the King's.
Yeah, that was the only thing that changed because I got proven wrong. But the main prediction, the initial storyline with the Iron Islands and how the Kingsmoot is going to go down, all that stuff. I feel really good about that part of it. That Yara is going to be manipulating Theon to try to get him installed as the figurehead. She would be the real she would really be in charge, and how Euron would that people weren't going to know what happened to Theon, but Euron would find out this information, and that would be the ruin of him. All that part of it, I'm completely 100% sticking to, and I feel good about those. But yeah, then I was trying to guess, well, who are the Iron Islands going to attack? And I thought, well, I'm going to say the Riverlands. But it turns out that that's not what's happening. So I'm more inclined to say it's going to be the Reach, as it was in the books, and as which I think is what you said too.
Yeah. I said it would just be some random nondescript place in the Reach, because that's what the show likes to do. Like, the books always more specifics on locations, when the show's like, oh, this is just some place in the Riverlands.
Yeah.
But like, some people were theorizing that they would attack Oldtown, if that happens.
I mean, again, anything's possible, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. I mean, that would be a way. I know the show likes to bring characters together, and that would be a way to sort of bring Sam and Theon and Yara together, but I'm still not sure they'd do it that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as for your predictions for the Iron Islands, like the Kingsmoot and everything, I'm pretty much all on board with you, with the exception that I don't think Euron's actually going to find out about Theon's missing parts, and that he's just going to blame otherwise, just from his own merits, just from being a badass.
Yeah. Yeah, could go that way too.
Yeah, but I think it could go either way. And
yeah,
my prediction for the Ironborn is that they would, towards the end of at the end of season 6, they would start making their way to King's Landing. Do you think that's a bit too far-fetched?
No, and in fact, if you might recall that I predicted that Tommen was going to be killed at the very, very, very end of season 6, and I said, I'm not sure who was going to kill him, but I'm going to take a guess and think it could be Euron responsible for it. Not that he himself would personally do it, but that he would be responsible for it, so that there will be I think there will already be people from the Iron Islands in King's Landing, but as far as for the big attack, they'll be making their way by the end. But the full army won't be there yet.
Oh, so you do think that they will be there? The full army will be there at the end?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I think they'll be on their way, but I think there's already going to be Iron Islanders will already be in the city, but they'll just be mixing in with other people. It won't be the full-blown attack yet.
Oh, yeah. I actually, now that you mentioned, I remember you bringing that up, and yeah, I think that's possible, but I don't know. Like, we'll get to the King's Landing in another video, but I think Tommen will survive.
Yeah.
You were telling me before that you think he could die at the very last episode.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Very, very end, toward the end of the finale. There might be 3 other scenes to happen after it in the season. That's my thoughts. Because but as for another thing about the Iron Islands, though, so you and I are both on the same page, though, that they are cutting out the horn of the dragons, and I think you said it entirely, his connection with Daenerys will just be cut out entirely.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And I said that I think that there could still be Daenerys elements to it, but I think the Horn of Dragons is definitely out. It could be that Euron himself wants to marry Daenerys, because since they're cutting out Victarians, and that's what Victarion was trying to do. It could be, which I believe he was in the books too. But I mean, yeah, I think Daenerys could still be involved in his plans, possibly. But I wouldn't be surprised if you were right and they just completely did away with the whole connection to Daenerys. It wouldn't surprise me either. But definitely, for sure, I don't see the Horn of Dragons.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning more towards that Daenerys isn't involved at all. But I suppose I'm a bit open that maybe she will, but I just don't think she will. be. But yeah, I totally agree with you that the Horn of Dragon and all that, and especially people are still thinking the Ironborn are going to go to the Marine. Like, I still had comments that totally missed the part about the fact that Daenerys already has 93 ships. Like, oh, the Ironborn had to go to Marine.
They don't. I mean, it was a stupid. It's kind of dumb because it was a throwaway line by Dario. Oh, I hear you like ships. Here's 93 ships that you don't ever actually see. That she just has these theoretical ships floating around somewhere. So it was kind of weak, but it's clearly meant to replace the Ironborn's ships.
Yeah. So I don't think that. Well, for one thing, I think it's almost all but confirmed that Victorian's not going to be in the show. That they're just
isn't that pretty much confirmed? I mean,
pretty much. It hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but there's just been no news about him. So Euron and all these other people. So it's so I don't think we'll get any Ironborn at all. But I suppose it's still possible that Euron would still have some sort of Dany crush, but I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I just think they're going to sidetrack that whole thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
Cool. So, any other thoughts on the Iron Islands?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So we can we'll go ahead and sort of wrap things up, but we'll just wrap things up by answering a few sort of questions in the chat. There's one from Travis Shaw who asked, "What about ice dragons?" And I think someone mentioned that earlier. People love to talk about ice dragons.
And we actually addressed this in one of our Q&A discussions that we did because somebody asked about ice dragons. And I guess my feeling on ice dragons is like I'm just not. I think they're a little. The topic is brought up too much. Honestly, like I'm kind of tired of talking about ice dragons. I think if they exist, they're likely to play a bigger part in the books than the show, and if they are in the show, it's going to be at the very, 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 very end. And I'm more inclined to say that they won't exist at all. But it's just, if they do, it's not that big of a thing. Like, they're such an afterthought to me. Like, I just don't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just not on board with the whole. I mean, it's just excitement about ice dragons.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's just a little thing in the fandom. I don't think it's actually going to happen. Yeah. It's just an unnecessary addition. I think they'd do the story just fine without them. Okay, so another question from Fame RK. Who do you guys think is the Valonqar?
Well, why don't you start, because did you change your opinion on who the Valonqar was?
Yes, I had, because originally I said it was Arya, which is a stretch because it's not a brother, it's a sister. But in that case, it would be the younger, Sansa would be the queen that takes down everything, Cersei holds steer, so it would be her younger sister, so I thought it would fit that way. But I've moved away from that, and I think I'm on board with your thoughts on that, if you're still thinking what I think.
Yeah, that it's Jaime.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common theory, I think. I think a lot of people think it's Jaime.
Yeah, it's kind of an easy answer. It's not as easy as Tyrion. Tyrion, I think, is too easy of an answer.
Yeah. But then the question is, though, does that mean the show will go a different direction since they didn't mention Valonqar?
That's always a possibility. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It could be Arya in the show. Maybe that's why they didn't bring up the Valonqar part.
Yeah. It could be anybody in the show because there's no prophecy that specifies, the circumstances or anything. It could be anyone.
Okay, so I'll just do a few more quick questions. From another one from Fam RK. When does Khaleesi get to Westeros, and will Jon and Daenerys ever meet, do you think? If so, how will the meeting go?
Well, you and I had slightly different opinions on when she was going to reach Westeros. I said she's going to leave at the end of season 6. Leave, in the last episode. I think you still have her arriving in season 6, or have you changed that?
No, I'm sticking to it. I admit that it's not. That is probably far fetched, and your guess by the end of season 6 is more likely. But I'm sticking to my guns anyway. I'm holding firm on that. Because, well, we'll talk about this more in our next. Well, I'll get more into detail about why I'm sticking to that.
Yeah. Now, as far as when Jon and her meet, I would say probably season 8. I mean, maybe at the end of season 7, but I would say more of it. That's a final season thing, but could maybe at the end of season 7.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's more towards the end of the entire show, like very end game sort of thing. Maybe even season 8.
Yeah,
possibly. Okay, so I think we'll just go one more from Ross. Do you both think Jon will be resurrected early in the season? Sorry if you discussed this already. We didn't really discuss this already.
We both said it in our individual videos, I think, but not in this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we said different things, because I said episode 1 at the very end of episode 1. The credits.
And I said very end of episode 2 and credits come up. So we're an episode off. So, but we both, the question was, do we think it's going to happen at the beginning? I would say both of us say yes.
Okay. All right. One more question. Another one from Ross. Who do you think will be the biggest death this season? And do you want to start this, because you've already mentioned this?
Brienne.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. That is who I thought would be the biggest one. That she, I don't actually remember specifically what my specific prediction was, but that it would be Jaime, Arya, and Brienne, and I think Arya would end up killing Brienne, not necessarily, purposely, because she might, or Brienne. I think I said that Brienne would try to interfere with her trying to kill Jaime, and then she would end up biting it. So that would, to me, that's going to be like the biggest death.
Yeah, no. Fame Marquet says Brienne, no. Yeah, I think mine. Like, I didn't predict someone as big as you. Like, I think the biggest I went was Dario, which you also said.
Yeah.
And I said Davos is a possibility, but I don't really think that. I was just trying to avoid saying Rickon.
Well, if it was Davos, then that would be the biggest one. So I don't even really consider Dario being that big of a character, honestly. So to me, it's not like a major death. But I mean,
Davos would be the bigger character. I just don't think he's going to die. All right, cool. Well, I think we can end our discussion here. Gotta say thanks a lot for joining us for this discussion. Thanks to you, Tamko, for joining me. Any sort of, you want to give a quick shout out for your channel where people can find you?
Yeah, go check it out. Akton Tamko. I have an update video that I did last month. I might do a second one coming up soon, but at this point, I might just wait until the trailer comes out. And but definitely as we get closer to April, which I guess Game of Thrones is coming out later in April this year, there'll still be more and more Game of Thrones content. So check it out. And check out my previous prediction videos for season 6.
Cool. Yeah, great. And hopefully we'll try to get together. We haven't really made any arrangements yet, but we'll try to get together maybe sometime next month or this month to do part of this discussion. Sometime
in February, hopefully, because we do have other things to talk about, like King's Landing, Marine. We didn't really touch in. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining, and we'll see you later.